Hi, Dan Cooper, once again with Cooper's Cogitations. We're going to evaluate some more of the law of nature. Now, law of nature, William Blackstone, in the first volume of his commentaries, he indicates that the law of nature is created by the creator, and he created everything. He gave everything a law. He gave everything a law of motion. Now, some of this is an involuntary motion. As I would teach this in class, I would say, how would you like to walk down the street? And you have to say, left leg move forward, right leg move forward, heart pump, left leg move forward, lungs breathe, right leg. You couldn't live. You have to have this involuntary motion principle within your system just so you can live, just so you can move. You eat something, you don't say, you might say, oral orifice, masticate thoroughly, ingest. But once you ingest it, you don't tell your stomach to digest it, to separate the good from the bad, to take out some and give it to the blood cells, to take out others and give it to the kidneys, the liver, the large and small intestines. You don't say that. It just happens. Involuntary, and everything has one. Rocks will stay there unless they're moved upon by something of a greater power. Okay, continuing with this law of nature, Blackstone says, this will of his maker is called the law of nature. For as God, when he created matter and endued it with the principle of mobility, established certain rules for the perpetual direction of that motion, so that when he created man and endued him with free will to conduct himself in all parts of his life, he laid down certain innumerable laws of nature, human nature, whereby that free will is in some degree regulated and restrained, and gave him also the faculty of reason to discover the purport of these laws. Folks, we all know these laws intuitively. Hopefully, our parents teach them to us, but we all know these laws. Considering the Creator only as a being of infinite power, he was able unquestionably to have prescribed whatever laws he pleased to his creature, man, however unjust or severe. But as he is also a being of infinite wisdom, he laid down only such laws as were founded in those relations of justice that existed in the nature of things antecedent to any positive precept. These are eternal, immutable laws of good and evil, to which the Creator himself in all his dispensations conforms, because he made them. They're an outgrowth of him, in which he has enabled human reason to discover, so far as they should live honestly, should hurt nobody, and should render everyone his due. Live honestly, hurt nobody, render to everyone his due. Folks, that's biblical, but that's in the law of nature. That's what he gave us. We all know we should live honestly. We should hurt no one. And we should give every person his due. The proverb says, withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thy hand to do it. So the law of nature and the Bible agree totally. But if the discovery of these first principles of the law of nature depended only upon the due exertion of right reason and could not otherwise be obtained than by a chain of metaphysical disquisitions, mankind would have wanted some inducement to have quickened their inquiries, and the greater part of the world would have rested content in mental indolence and ignorant, its inseparable companion. As therefore the Creator is a being not only of infinite power and wisdom, but also of infinite goodness. He has been pleased to contrive the constitution and frame of humanity, that we shall want no other property to inquire after and pursue the rule of right, but only our own self-love. Folks, that's our true self-love. There's one thing we know: Satan is a counterfeiter, and God is love, or in other words, that's a character. Love is God. Therefore, Satan will counterfeit love. Have you heard the guy tell the girl, "If you loved me"? Yeah, right. Okay. The universal principle of action. Self-love is the universal principle of action. I love myself. I'm getting out of bed and I'm going to get some breakfast. Okay? I'm going to go to bed at a proper time. I'm not going to abuse myself. For he has so intimately connected, so inseparably interwoven the laws of eternal justice with the happiness of each individual, that the latter cannot be obtained by observing, but by observing the former. And if the former be punctually obeyed, it cannot but induce the latter. What he's saying is, you want to be happy? Keep the laws of nature. Live honestly, hurt no one. Give everyone his due. Pursue your own true self-love. Not some fabrication, but your true self-love. Christ says, love God first, love your neighbor as yourself. You don't abuse yourself and call it love. Physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Okay? That's not love. In consequence of which mutual connection of justice and human facility, he has not perplexed the laws of nature with a multitude of abstracted rules and precepts, referring merely to the fitness or unfitness of things, as some have vainly surmised, but has graciously reduced the rule of obedience to this one parental precept, that man should pursue his own true happiness. This is the foundation of what we call ethics or natural law. Interjection. As children of God, created in his image and his likeness, our true happiness, our true self-love can come only by keeping the commandments, following the natural law. That's the only thing we can do. We do that, we will have true self-love, true happiness, not some artificially contrived happiness for the moment. We're talking about joy. A little bit more. For the several articles into which it is branched in our systems amount to no more than demonstrating that this or that action tends to man's real happiness, and therefore very justly concluding that the performance of it is a part of the law of nature. In other words, that this or that action is destructive to man's real happiness, and therefore the law of nature forbids it. This law of nature, being coeval with man, dictated by God himself, is of course superior to any obligation to any other. It is binding, listen to this, it is binding over all the globe, in all countries, at all times. No human laws are of any validity if contrary to this, and such of them that as are valid derive all their force, all their authority, immediately and immediately from this original, from the law of nature. Upon these two foundations, the law of nature and the law of revelation, depend all human laws. That is to say, no human laws should be suffered to contradict these, and I agree. That's when you read the Declaration of Independence in the Constitution. That's when you understand that the Christian founders rebelled against the Christian king, the Christian parliament, even though Paul says, be subject to the powers that be, because they passed legal enactments that violated, as it says in the Declaration of Independence, the laws of nature, natural law, and of nature's God. The laws of nature's God is the Bible. He violated those laws with his legal enactments, and they listed 29. Folks, when our government violates the laws of nature and of nature's God, Blackstone says they're without validity. Yes, they have the weight and substance and force of law, but these are just legal enactments, rules. Use the correct language. They are not laws. They are rules, regulations. They're prescriptive. They are vicious. They invoke, as Frederick Bastiat would say in the law, you to read it, legal plunder. As John Locke would say in The Laws of Nature, 2 treatises on government, they create war with their inhabitants, with their citizens. They declare war on us. Our governments declare war on us. We'll do more of the law of nature in the next issue. Thank you very much.